Hello, I'm Lee Whiteside. I'm a spiritual teacher and an intuitive energy healer. I've put this three-part video series together to just impart some of what I've learned along my spiritual path with regards to purpose and the unconscious mind and how it can sabotage, and also with regards to our connection with the spiritual realms and guidance from our spirit teams. So I've been teaching for many years on various topics, and I have learnt so much from various spiritual teachers and mentors along my own path. And I feel really quite honoured to be able to pass some of that knowledge on, some of my own experience on, and hope that it resonates with some of you. So this first video, I'm going to be broaching the subject of the unconscious mind and how it can sabotage us from the purpose of why we're actually here in the first place. Because we're all born with a specific purpose or dharma. Before we're even born, our souls map out our purpose, why we're being incarnated in this time. It maps out, with the help of our spirit guides, what lessons we want to master in this human experience. And so we have this blueprint of why we've chosen to come here in the first place and incarnate at this time, in this place, and in this specific body and family. But when we're born, we're veiled. And what that is, it's like a forgetting. We forget the truth of who we are at soul level, why we came here, the lessons we came here to master, and the power that we hold to manifest a life that we love. And the reason for this veiling is to better enable us to master those lessons, to really help us to immerse in this 3D human experience in order to learn those lessons, which is why we came here in the first place. And so that we're not encumbered with the memory of where we came from, and the longing to go back there to that higher vibrational energy of love and oneness and connectedness. So we come into this life almost like a fresh start, unencumbered with the memory of our incredible origins, unencumbered also with any human experiences that we may have in the future. But life happens, life starts to happen, and we experience certain things in our lives. We start to be exposed to other people's ideas, other people's opinions, other people's beliefs and opinions about ourselves and the world. We start to experience things that, some good, some bad. And these experiences are processed in different ways, and they are held within our unconscious mind. So when I use the word trauma, I'm not just talking about huge trauma such as abuse or loss. I'm talking about all those little things that happen throughout your life that create an impact, that imprint you in some way and influence your beliefs and your behaviors going forward. So it could be that someone at some point in your life didn't listen to what you were saying, and so you felt that nothing you had to say was valuable. It could be, for example, when I was in junior primary school, so I must have been probably 6 or 7, and I remember sitting in this room with my whole class. In fact, I think it was the whole year group. I don't think it was just my class. And this school nurse had been brought in to talk to us about health and nutrition. And she was talking to us about what constitutes a healthy breakfast. And I remember very clearly her saying, having one piece of toast before you come to school isn't enough for your brain to function properly during the day. You need more than that. So I put my hand up, and this was something I genuinely wanted to know. I said, well, what if I have 2 pieces of toast? And she went off at me, told me I was being cheeky, told me I was being sarcastic, trying to be clever, because she had taken my question as a knowing question, as if I knew the answer was that 2 pieces of toast is no more nutritious than 1. But I was just thinking, well, she said 1 piece of toast wasn't good enough, but maybe if I had 2, I was 6 or 7. I didn't know anything about, nutrition or anything like that. So in that moment, I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. And worse, I felt misunderstood. I felt that I clearly couldn't communicate very well. I clearly couldn't communicate in a way that people would understand what I was saying. And so that stayed with me. And every time I had an opportunity to speak up going forward, I kept my mouth shut and I chose not to speak. And I protected myself, or my unconscious mind protected me from that feeling of being misunderstood and from that embarrassment. And this is what the unconscious mind does. It is there to protect us and keep us safe. So it is constantly on the lookout for danger. And with our cave-dwelling ancestors, that danger may have been running from a saber-toothed tiger, real danger. But our brains haven't changed since then. They are still wired to keep us safe. So keeping us safe and survival is the domain of the mind. Happiness is the domain of the soul. So our mind, and our unconscious mind specifically, where all of these memories are stored, will constantly look to keep you in the comfort zone, constantly look to keep you safe from supposed danger. So when I first started my business, for years and years, I kept myself hidden, I kept myself in the background, didn't want to be seen. And as a result, I didn't experience expansion. And so, when networking activities came along and I was given the opportunity to speak, I would just back away from them. And I had so many people say to me, but don't you want to expand your business? Don't you want to be known in your field? And I would say, yes, of course I do. Of course I do. But actually, deep down, subconsciously, without even realizing it, I really didn't. Because I didn't want to be misunderstood. And I certainly didn't want to be embarrassed. And so every time I had an opportunity to be seen and to be heard, my subconscious mind, the alarm bells would start ringing and going off, and my subconscious mind would take me back without me even realizing it, and would say things to me like, you don't want to do that. No one's going to understand you. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to say something wrong. You're going to look like an idiot. People are going to think you're a fool. And so I would just stay in my comfort zone. I would stay in my box. And this is what the unconscious mind does. It tries to pull you back constantly into the known, constantly into your comfort zone. And every time you try and grow and expand in some way, your subconscious mind is going to drag you back. And this is the pattern that we fall into without even realizing it. So the benefit I was getting was that I never had to feel misunderstood. I never had to feel like people would think I was a fool or an idiot or be embarrassed. And we call that a secondary gain. So this is something that keeps you in the loop of a pattern that is keeping you from expanding, keeping you from growing, and keeping you from the life that you came here for, that you so carefully mapped out with your guides before you incarnated here. So while I was staying in my comfort zone, quite happily ticking along, never having to be made to feel like I was being misunderstood, my message wasn't getting out there. I wasn't reaching the people that I needed to reach. I wasn't fulfilling my purpose, which is to help and guide people to a higher consciousness. And so many women I come across are really struggling to discover their purpose, to remember their purpose. Because remember, it's there right from birth, or before birth, in fact. And this is because the fog has settled. The fog has settled, and the unconscious mind is triggering these unconscious patterns of behavior that are not serving your purpose. They are clouding your vision. and keeping you from moving forward in a way that moves you towards your purpose and the reason you came here. So what can we do about this? Now, it's not useful to think about the unconscious mind as this sabotaging thing that's just keeping you back from doing what you came here to do. Your unconscious mind is just doing its job. It's trying to keep you safe. And I always like to think of my unconscious mind like a toddler who's trying to get its way. So we all know that just ignoring a toddler or criticizing a toddler or having a go at a toddler is not going to get you anywhere. Okay, you're just going to end up with a screaming tantrum. But if you talk kindly to that toddler, if you make that toddler feel understood, but let the toddler know that actually you're going to make the decisions, you're going to do it your way, you're going to get a whole different response. So this is what I like to do when I can feel my unconscious mind throwing up all sorts of spanners in the work when I try and do something that's outside of my comfort zone. I sit down either with my journal or I just think about it in my head and I go, okay, so what's happening here? What thoughts am I having? What thoughts is my unconscious mind putting into my head to stop me from taking that step forward? And then I go, okay, thank you, unconscious mind, for trying to keep me safe. But actually, I'm good. And I'm going to do this anyway. I know you're trying to stop me from being misunderstood. But what if I am understood? What if the people that need to hear my message get to hear it and it makes an impact in their life? What if I get to be seen, which will then expand my business, which will allow me to reach and serve more people, which will increase my financial abundance, which will increase my feeling of purpose and fulfillment? I'm going to do this anyway. And I find that the more you do that, the more your unconscious mind starts to become soothed and allow you to step out of your comfort zone. And then before you know it, those steps that you are taking to expand will no longer be seen as a danger until you reach the next level. So in many of my programs and my activation sessions, we go a lot deeper into these traumas and memories and beliefs that are stored in your unconscious mind. And we go right to the root cause memory, which may in fact be a memory from this life, but it may be a memory from a past life or a generational imprint, because we store this trauma from this life, from past lives, and even from our ancestors in our cellular memory. So much of the work that I do is delving deep into the unconscious mind to change up these thought patterns, change up these beliefs, heal what needs to be healed, and cut the energy cords that keep us bound to these experiences, these places, these people, and this trauma. Because our unconscious mind makes up 95% of our mind, and our conscious mind only 5%. So the wants that you may have on a conscious level may be being sabotaged on an unconscious level by 95% of your mind. So it's the unconscious that's going to win every time, until we start to bring these beliefs, bring these limitations, bring these blocks and these traumas into our conscious mind and reframe them. So I hope that makes sense to you, and I really encourage you to start having that dialogue with your unconscious mind. Start recognizing the sabotaging patterns that are coming up for you. Start recognizing the thoughts that are keeping you in your box, keeping you in your comfort zone, and start talking to your unconscious mind. Start soothing your unconscious mind and start choosing differently. I'll see you in the next video.